Okay, real talk. If someone handed you $1 million tomorrow, like just dropped it in your bank account, do you genuinely believe you'd still be broke in 5 years? Most people watching this right now said no. Probably said it pretty fast, too. Nick, obviously not. $1 million, come on. Here's the uncomfortable part. The data says otherwise. Studies tracking lottery winners found that nearly 1/3 of them declared bankruptcy within 3 to 5 years of their win. Not struggled a little, declared bankruptcy. People who had millions of dollars, gone. And not because they were stupid, not because they were careless. Because of something that was happening inside their heads that they had absolutely no idea about. And here's the thing that actually keeps me up at night. Whatever that psychological trap is, it doesn't just affect lottery winners. It affects you every time you get a raise, a tax refund, a bonus, an inheritance. It affects every single person who has ever said, when I finally have enough money, I'll get my finances together. So today, we're going to tear this apart. We're going to look at what actually happens to the brain when sudden money shows up. Why most people are completely blind to it. And most importantly, what you can do so that you are not the cautionary tale. The lottery winner paradox. Let me tell you about Jack Whitaker. In 2002, Jack won the Powerball jackpot, $314.9 million. The largest single-ticket lottery jackpot in American history at that point. He took the lump sum, $113 million after taxes. Still an almost incomprehensible amount of money. Jack wasn't some naive kid. He was already a successful businessman, a millionaire before he won. He had infrastructure. He had experience. He had people around him. 4 years later, he was broke. His daughter died. His granddaughter died. He was robbed multiple times. He faced lawsuits constantly. He said, and I want you to hear this, I wish I'd torn that ticket up. Now, you could write that off as extreme, one bad story. But the data keeps telling the same story over and over again. A study from the National Endowment for Financial Education estimated that roughly 70% of people who receive a financial windfall lose it within a few years. 70%. That's not a fluke. That's a pattern. And patterns this consistent don't come from bad luck. They come from psychology. What sudden wealth syndrome actually is. Here's where it gets really interesting. Sudden wealth syndrome isn't something I made up for a YouTube video. It's a term used by financial therapists and psychologists, people like Dr. Stephen Goldbart, a California psychologist who literally coined the phrase in the late 1990s after working with Silicon Valley employees who came into sudden stock wealth during the dot-com boom. The syndrome describes a cluster of psychological responses that happen when someone receives a large, unexpected sum of money. And what's fascinating and a little terrifying is that the symptoms aren't what you'd expect. It's not just they spent too much. It's deeper than that. The symptoms include isolation. People suddenly feel disconnected from their old life. Their friendships feel different. They don't know who to trust anymore. They start pulling away from the people who actually know them. Identity confusion. This is a big one. They don't know who they are with this money. Their entire self-concept was built around struggle, around striving. And suddenly that framework is gone. Some people describe it as genuinely disorienting, like the money removed the thing that gave their life meaning. Guilt, especially in inherited wealth or lottery scenarios. I didn't earn this. Do I deserve it? What will people think? That guilt is corrosive. It leads to either overgiving, trying to share the money away to relieve the guilt, or reckless spending to prove they're not too good for their old life. Decision paralysis followed by impulsive decisions. They can't figure out what the right thing to do is, so they freeze. And then, because human beings hate uncertainty, they make a fast, impulsive decision just to get the discomfort to stop. Look, here's what most people don't realize. Money doesn't change who you are. It amplifies who you already are. Every existing habit, every existing belief, every existing fear about money suddenly has 100 times more fuel. The math that nobody does. Okay, let's talk actual numbers because I think people dramatically underestimate how quickly large sums of money can disappear with completely normal behavior. Let's say you win $1 million. After federal taxes, let's call it $620,000 in your pocket. Feels like forever money, right? First thing most lottery winners do, buy a house. Not a starter home, a house. Let's say $400,000, that's gone. You've got $220,000 left, but now you have a $400,000 house. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, realistically, that's going to run you $12,000 to $18,000 a year, every year just to own the thing. You also upgraded your car, maybe 2 cars. That's another $80,000 between them. $140,000 left. Now your family knows. Your old friends know. You start picking up dinner tabs. You lend money because you don't want to say no because you have money now, right? Let's call it $40,000 in the first year. $100,000 left. You take a vacation, a real one. $15,000. $85,000 left. And here's the part that really stings. You have no more income from your job because you quit. Obviously, you're a millionaire. So now you're living off that $85,000 with a $400,000 house that costs $18,000 a year to maintain, with 2 car payments. Do the math. You're burning through money faster than it's replenishing. And within 3 years, you're not just broke. You're actually worse off than before because now you have a lifestyle and a social circle's worth of expectations that you fundamentally cannot sustain. This isn't a lottery problem. This is a math problem that most people never sit down and do. Your brain on windfall money. Now, I want to connect this back to your life. Because you might be sitting there thinking, Nick, I'm never going to win the lottery. This doesn't apply to me. Here's what I'd push back on. Have you ever gotten a tax refund and it was gone before you could explain where it went? Have you ever gotten a raise and somehow, 6 months later, felt exactly as financially stressed as before? Have you ever received a bonus and thought, this is it, I'm going to finally get ahead, and then just didn't? That's the same mechanism. It's called hedonic adaptation combined with lifestyle creep, and your brain does it automatically. You don't decide to do it. You just wake up one day and your new normal costs exactly as much as you now make. There's actually a name for the underlying principle in economics. Parkinson's law of money, the idea that expenses rise to meet income. It's not a character flaw, it's not weakness. It's how human beings are wired. The psychological mechanism behind it is fascinating. We have what researchers call a financial comfort zone, an internal number that feels right for our net worth or our monthly spending. When our actual financial situation drops below that number, we feel stress and we work to fix it. But here's the catch. When it rises above that number, we feel equally uncomfortable. And we unconsciously spend or give or invest poorly until we return to our comfort zone. That comfort zone is set by your environment, your upbringing, your peer group, and your past experiences with money. And most people never consciously examine it. They just let it run silently in the background, governing every financial decision they make. The specific traps that get people. Trap number 1, the identity trap. When money shows up suddenly, most people immediately try to look like the person who deserves that money: new clothes, new car, new house. Basically, they spend to match a new identity before they've actually built one. The fix is deceptively simple. Impose a mandatory waiting period. I'm serious. Many financial advisors who work with lottery winners recommend doing nothing for a minimum of 6 months. Park the money in a high-yield savings account. Don't tell people beyond your immediate family. Don't quit your job immediately. Don't make a single major purchase. This sounds boring. It is boring. That's exactly the point. The impulse to act is the danger. Boredom is your protection. Apply this to your own life. Next time you get a bonus or a raise, give yourself a 30-day no-spend rule on that extra money before deciding anything. Just let it sit. You'll make wildly better decisions. Trap number 2, the social pressure trap. This one breaks my heart because it's so human. When people come into money, they become a target, not from strangers, but from the people they love most. Relatives with business ideas, friends who need loans. The pressure to be generous because you can afford it now. This is one of the primary drivers of windfall loss. A 2010 study published in the Journal of Economic Behavior and Organization found that lottery winners who told more people about their win went through their money significantly faster than those who kept it quiet. Social network, social drain. The fix: separate your giving from your spontaneity. Decide in advance, before anyone asks, what percentage of any windfall you're willing to give away to family, to friends, to charity. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 5%, write it down. Once that percentage is gone, it's gone. You're not a bad person. You made a plan. For everyday life, this looks like having a preset monthly generosity budget, a specific dollar amount you're comfortable giving or lending, and treating it like a fixed expense, guilt-free and boundaried. Trap number 3, the it'll keep coming trap. Here's what really gets people. When someone has a lot of money, they feel like the rules of scarcity no longer apply to them. They stop tracking. They stop budgeting. They stop caring about small purchases because it's not like I'm going to run out. Except the math doesn't care how you feel. $620,000 invested conservatively at 6% annual return generates roughly $37,200 a year. That is not never think about money again money. That's a modest income. It requires a modest lifestyle to be sustainable, but nobody thinks about it that way in the moment of receiving it. The fix: immediately convert lump sums into what does this mean per month? $620,000, if you want it to last 30 years, means you can spend roughly $1,700 a month from it without investment returns. Suddenly it looks very different. That mental reframe, from big lump sum to sustainable monthly allowance, is one of the most powerful tools you can give yourself. How to build a brain that's windfall-proof. When you don't know what money is for, every decision about it gets made by default, by impulse, by social pressure, by the lizard brain that just wants to feel good right now. When you do know what money is for, when you have a clear answer, suddenly you have a filter. Every spending decision either moves you toward that thing or it DOESN single quotes. So here's your homework. Not someday. This week. Step 1. Write down 3 things you want your money to eventually produce for your life. Not things to buy: outcomes, freedom, security, time, a business, your kids' education. Pick 3. Write them down. Step 2. Calculate, in real numbers, what each of those things costs. Vague dreams get spent. Specific goals get funded. Step 3. Set up an automatic transfer, even if it's $50 a month, that goes toward one of those goals. Not because $50 is going to change your life, because the habit of intentionality is the thing that changes your life. That habit is what separates the 1/3 of lottery winners who kept their money from the 2/3 who didn't. The winners who kept it weren't smarter. They weren't luckier. They had a plan before the money arrived, and they had decided in advance what they stood for financially. Closing. Here's what I want you to really walk away understanding today. Lottery winners don't go broke because they're irresponsible. They go broke because money, at any scale, is an amplifier. And if there's nothing intentional underneath it to amplify, it will amplify chaos by default. The version of you who struggles with a $50,000 income will struggle with $500,000. not because you're broken. Because you haven't yet done the inner work to build a financial identity that's bigger than your current circumstances. And here's the good news, and I mean this, that work is absolutely available to you right now, today, with the income you have. The habits you build on $50,000 are the exact habits that will protect and grow $500,000. You don't get to skip the homework. So stop waiting for the windfall to get your money life together. The windfall is coming. It might be a lottery ticket. It might be a promotion. It might be an inheritance. It might just be a decade of disciplined saving finally compounding into something real when it shows up. Do you want to be the cautionary tale or the person who finally did something with it? I know which one you're going to be. That's why you're still watching. Hit subscribe if you want more content like this. I drop videos every week on the psychology and math of money. And I promise there's always something that'll make you see your own finances differently. And if this video hit differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the best financial advice you can give someone is just pointing them toward the right conversation. I'll see you in the next one.